We just had another choppy day in the crypto market with all that's happening around the market as the news and narrative is entering into the market. The market is trying to digest it in one way or the other. But what we just saw is that the market is trying to show you that it does end up in green as far as the stock market is considered, but it was still choppy because the speech didn't actually give too much of hawkish stuff, even though he tried to sound like that. But in essence, we didn't have much. He was kind of repeating what he said in the last meeting, and that's why the market is still as it is. We didn't get much of a huge movement. That was some short-term volatility, but if you look at dollar and have that choppiness, if you look at Bitcoin, it's still as it is. We're still at that support. We want to see a bounce. And as you zoom in, you kind of get the narrative where we're getting some strength here. We want to see a short-term breakout, which will lead us towards a rally. Now that rally will help XRP to break through this range. But as of now, we have not done that. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys get learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. Right now, if you look at the price action, we can easily see that okay, on a daily chart. Last time when we actually got across to the downside for the MACD, we just saw what happened for the price action. We kind of topped out. We were coming down. Now, was that right away a drop? No. We didn't actually get a drop right away just after the MACD crosses. So we are somewhere close to that range where MACD is trying to cross to the upside. Now, let's actually go zooming in. The MACD has already crossed and the RSI is trying to push back higher. We have a trend line where we see, okay, we broke that, we retested that, we are bouncing off. That kind of seems a little bit bullish. Now, does that mean we are running into our all-time highs now? I really doubt so, because as far as we remain inside this range, we may still get rejected. Say we come to 0.565 range and get rejected down to 0.5. That can be a strong range. Now, unless we see a break of this, we would say, okay, we assume that we are going to remain in this pattern. But as we just saw, Bitcoin shows there is a possible bounce coming in. But we need to actually get a reversal signal on a 4-hour, on a 12-hour, on a daily. Because right now you don't have one. What we are watching here is that the price is getting rejected each time it's reaching the resistance. So we're not getting the financial institutions, the whales pushing the price up. Rather, they are letting the price action be choppy. Why is that? Because when you actually start zooming out, say now the daily is showing you something. What is that? Look at the RSI. The RSI kind of shows you like, okay, I'm slowly but surely breaking higher. The strength is slowly increasing. MACD suggests to you I'm getting close to a cross to the upside. And whenever we've seen that, maybe in a week, that's a consolidation and a bounce. So if you go back in May, as soon as we started crossing higher, we started moving up. So that move started from 0.42, went up to 0.47, came back down to 0.45, and then rallied towards 0.55. Now, these are not big moves, but yes, it does push the price to the upside. Now, we want to see whether the daily kind of go back and agree with the monthly, which does agree with that. The monthly MACD has crossed to the upside. You are having a retest. This month only has like few days more. And in a week, we'll see the next monthly candle opening. Now, last time when we got a break like this, we also got something like this, which was like a negative candle, but we went back up. So if that's this particular candle here of the month of August, that means September, October, November is going to be interesting. Now, let's see whether the weekly agrees with us. Right now, the weekly suggests like I'm crossing back to the downside. So it agree with that. So what we're trying to understand is, say, a 3-day shows us, okay, I've already crossed to the downside. I want to actually cross back to the upside, which is what the daily is suggesting you. So the daily gives you the idea I'm about to cross to the upside. So in 3 days, we'll see that giving some ability for the 3-day chart to cross back to the upside. Now, if you actually go into the narrative, you understand the fact like, okay, this kind of gives, Miles kind of give you the highlight saying the US just introduced this tax proposal that can maybe potentially kill the DeFi as we know it, because they're actually trying to tax it everywhere. We're watching that happening in different countries, in different areas, but they are still trying to do that. And it kind of gives you more information. MetaMask is a broker and has to KYC and report all users unless it remove swaps. So you are actually watching things entering into a different realm. We have people who have been using MetaMask to, as a wallet, but now that's also coming under scrutiny. Now, this is all true. We understand that it is happening. We've been through a lot of news and narrative recently, but what's even more interesting right now at this point is that Reuters kind of highlight the fact that MasterCard is kind of slowing down with its Binance partnership. So it's kind of, getting a little bit irritated with all these regulatory uncertainty and all. But on the other side, the same MasterCard is working with Ripple for a CBDC payment infrastructure, which kind of shows you like, okay, this one doesn't have that much of regulatory uncertainty compared to what they were doing with Binance. And I'm like, Binance is like the most regulated exchange in the world, and this is happening with them. After which we saw a news highlighting Visa is also doing something similar. So it's kind of getting a little bit sketchy out there in the market because they want to force you out of the market for some reason. Think about that. Because if the government, if the regulators really don't want you to do something and own something, usually what happens, the price actually go back up. Go back and look at the price of gold in 1971. They really didn't want US citizens to buy or hold that asset. What happens? The price goes up. So if you actually look at all this, we understand the fact that yes, the adoption into XRP ledger is huge. And as we read through some of this, it kind of highlights like we have now started to shift from using Ether blockchain to XRP ledger. Now we understand why would someone do that. As a developer, as a leader of a project, you need to make decisions which is best for your protocol as well as your clients, and clients come first. Because if you're giving a better service for them, then that gives you an advantage to thrive in the future and attract more. Now, we just discussed about this idea, but what's happening here is that they are actually changing the type of payment. Now that's happening in local currencies. So dollar is slowly getting hit hard if they don't move into a financial infrastructure, which will be easy to use, and that won't be like the existing system where they can do whatever sanctions they want at their will. It won't happen the way we are watching the world moving. It's a new era. There is no difference. Now, I would like to highlight the fact here that, we have some of these scammers. Say for me, I have DNI and 1, whereas these guys are putting DNL and I. And I'm surprised like this guy have 1,000 followers or more, and he's just reposting whatever I post. So beware of these kind of scammers. They're everywhere. As soon as the crypto market start going back up, they would try to take your money one way or the other. So you, me, everyone in the market has to be careful. We have to learn from what's happening in the market. We have to see how things are evolving. We have to make money, that's for sure, but we shouldn't fall for these scammers. Not this one. This is kind of impossible. But again, the speech today, if we actually go through that, we didn't actually get too much of a bullish stuff for the dollar itself. And that's one of the reasons why we see dollar has been choppy. That's another reason why if we actually go look at the market, say crypto market hasn't actually done much. Whereas if you go look at the stock market side of things, you'll actually observe the fact that say Dow, even though it's choppy, it actually ended up positive. It bounced off. If you look at NASDAQ, you'll actually see something similar. We had a bounce because Last candle was an engulfing candle, choppy to the downside, but we didn't get a continuation here. We're trying to push back to the upside. Maybe it's a retest of the moving average. It may get rejected too. That's a huge possibility because look at this. VIX is showing you a possibility that it can start bouncing back up, and if it actually goes higher, that means the upside is massive. Historically speaking, whenever it reaches there, it's not a good deal. Just consider that. Last time we went up to this range, it was March 2020. That was the pandemic. If you look at the year before that, it was like the topping off and then the start of the bear market in crypto and the stock market correction. All of that comes through this area. So if we understand the fact that, okay, we have some room to run, now the question is, okay, are we about to bounce off? Because if we do bounce here in the Bitcoin, now we want to see, okay, if Bitcoin bounces, in which direction is the money going? Right now, the daily chart shows you it's trying to bounce off, do a little bit of corrective action, and then bounce again. So that bounce can lead up to 50.14, maybe 50.63, say somewhere close to 51%. Bitcoin can actually gain a little bit more dominance. But keep this in mind, as long as this trend line is not breached, you can actually put the argument saying like, okay, we actually did try to go back up, retest this, but we got rejected. If that's the case, it's going to be bullish for the altcoin market side, because once you understand the macro, it's the pattern. Even if we actually break a little bit lower, it's still okay, but we need to consolidate in this range, allowing the altcoins to start riding up, because they are also standing on a macro support range. So we need to see a bounce in that region, which would be the best choice for us, because as of now, we didn't actually get a weekly close, but we're still watching. We had a long wick and we are still here. So it would be cool to see price coming back down to this range of support and bouncing back off, maybe in a 12 hour, maybe in a 4 hour. We can actually see that. We came there once, then we immediately bounced off. We want to see that happening again, coming back down to 0.11 and then bouncing off in XLM. So in the terms of XRP, we're still here in this pattern. So the price is getting rejected here, which means you may come back down to 0.5, and that's slowing down the price. At the same time, the MACD shows you I'm crossing to the upside. The RSI is slowly trying to test the resistance. We didn't get a breakout yet, but it is trying to do that. So as you zoom out, you enter on a daily and it shows you, yeah, all these possibilities which we just talked about is still relevant and valid. But what we have to keep in mind is the macro has not changed yet. We have a few more days in this month for sure. But as soon as we get a candle close, take the line chart and see what's happening. Because if that daily close at that end of the month comes in showing you, okay, I'm closing here, and that means the monthly is super bullish. Even though you had all this volatility, you're still holding on to that level, because that kind of shows you this trend line is still valid on a monthly. You're trending higher, making consistent higher high and a higher low, which will attract more buyers, which will eventually push the price up about $1 and then towards $2, $3, $4. As we go higher, we'll see how the volume changes for sure. We want to see how many new participants enter the market. But remember, if you see momentum fading out, have some level of caution. Always understand if momentum is reducing, something is happening. Someone is moving out of the market. Right now, the daily shows you it's in a green. So I assume that most likely we may get a bullish move today. We have the 4 hour, which is still green. We have hourly, which suggests I'm correcting a little bit down. So we are watching for the 4 hour to hold so that we can break higher. Why? Because I'm watching at this and it's like first time the MACD couldn't cross to the upside. Second time it was a fake out. Maybe third time we are going to cross back to the upside. That's going to be a positive scenario. Because as we enter into 4 hour, now we have a long space here to reach back towards the 100-day moving average. Usually, when you drop this hard, you bounce off to reach the other moving average, which is a positive sign here. So if we watch a bounce towards 0.56, that's nothing big, it's normal. If we watch that bouncing up to 0.63, that's still good. We want to see the trend line breaking. Before that, don't try doing leverage stuff, because right now in the market there's a lot of choppy things happening. Most of the assets are involved in that, so make sure you don't take any wrong decisions at this point. You want to make sure you're consistent, you're calm, and you're following that discipline, which you really have to, because otherwise before the price pops up you may end up making the bad choice, which you shouldn't have done at a normal stage, because the price is at a support on a macro and it's about to bounce off. And that bounce, whenever that comes in, it does look attractive and it is increasing to the upside. So if this was the last run up and we're going to do something better, we may see $1.5 to $2 run up from here. That's like 400% run up from this support. So make sure you understand what the market is doing, because a lot of these other assets in the market are actually showing you that it is in the accumulation. Very few you highlight the fact that I'm breaking upside from the accumulation. So if you are looking for those kind of information, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So that's it for today, guys. Please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.